Ronnie. Hey, congratulations on your short film, Annie, Now I Lay Me Down.
And now I lay me down. Thank you so much.
So, so anyways, I spoke to you before at the Santa Barbara International Film
Oh, that's
Festival,
right. I remember now. Oh my
and
gosh.
Jane was also there, and you folks briefly talked about this short film, but now I have a chance to actually watch it. And it's a delightful short film.
Thank
So,
you.
let's start with that obligatory question: where the original idea came from for this
Sure.
film?
Yeah, I think of the Joseph Campbell, quote, "The dark night of the soul is followed by revelation." And I think sometimes pain leads to really great art. And I was going through a really difficult time in my life. I had just lost this whole part of my nose to skin cancer, and was having all these reconstructive surgeries. And it seemed like my film career was at a standstill. So I feel like these external factors that were really sucky inspired this idea. I had on a really bad day when I was sort of dealing with all this. I had a vision for this film, and I think it was really just inspired by the challenging place I was at in my life. And it really helped me get through this chapter of all these surgeries and everything, knowing I was going to make this film. And you can sort of feel this pain in the film of this character of like trying to cling on to a career, like not being where she wants to be. And I think this was all this, it was my silver lining that I got some nice art out of the experience.
But yet, it didn't really. I want to say in the way a lot of people can actually relate to it in the terms of art because it's almost like a social commentary about how to react in your aging career.
Right. Yeah, it's like this is one way of doing it. There's so many other ways, like I think of Frances McDormand who like doesn't really wear makeup. There's not one way to do it, and I would say, aging with grace is probably different for everyone. Um so here's what happens to one woman, it's like one window, or you could be Demi Moore in The Substance.
So, how did you want to craft the character for your short film?
Sure. I kind of just watched her in my mind and listened to her speak. But I knew I wanted her to be smart, as well. I wanted her to be multi-layered. I wanted her to be smart and funny and also like have some real problems and bitchiness and entitlement. So I sort of wanted to weave that all together. And I also wanted to have her, have a moment of vulnerability. I wanted her to be relatable somehow, maybe for at least for a little bit, even though she was kind of an over the top character. So, like, for example, when she's calling her daughter, I did want people to like maybe have a little soft spot for her at that moment. So it was fun crafting this character. I think Jane really helped, sell the part.
Now, I'm speaking about Jane because Jane obviously had a terrific run with Malcolm in the Middle, and then she kind of stepped back, doing projects here and there, but it went into sort of a semi-retirement,
Yeah,
which is interesting because it almost follows into your story perfectly. So
right.
tell us about recruiting Jane for a part like this.
Right. Well, you're so right. There was a lot in her life that she could draw from. Like she had been through a divorce. But it was my EP, Christina Sybil, who recommended her for the part because she had been to Yale. She had actually been to a fundraiser at Jane's house and told me that it was actually her house that made her think of her for the part. I hadn't really even seen Malcolm in the Middle, too bad because it's incredible. Now I have. And I started to, watch everything I could with Jane, and I became obsessed with the idea of her in the role. This is what happens to you sometimes, when you're writing scripts. And we were able to get her manager the script, and she was Chris Schmidt, who's wonderful. She was receptive enough to, have her consider doing a short because a lot of actors will not even consider it. And we were very lucky. Jane loved the script. And, we had a Zoom, and then I met her and I just loved her. She's so personable and a really outstanding human being.
That is amazing. And one of the things that I remember carrying this conversation with both of you in Santa Barbara, is that this short film, the production, took place at her house.
I know. It's so
I mean,
crazy. Like who lets like I don't let people come shoot in my house. It was really the greatest gift and just a testament to how cool this woman is that she would offer, when she first said, "Oh, do you have a house to shoot in? You could shoot here." I was like, "Be careful what you say because of course we will want to do that." So it was really, really generous of her. And she had white carpets upstairs. I was like, "Oh my God." We clean them.
I was gonna say, how do you navigate your film production when someone volunteers something like that and you're gonna have to be like wearing booties or white gloves
Yeah.
and making sure that everything is up to par with your lead actress.
Yeah, well, we were very careful. I mean, we put stuff, paper, or whatever, cardboard down everywhere. Everyone wore booties. Everyone looked silly in these little booties. And then we cleaned her floors. There was one scene that we brought a bathtub into her pantry because there was not room for I wanted her to have a bathtub scene. And there something happened and water ended up going everywhere. We cleaned it, all fine and good. That's a story. But yeah, what happens is you just end up paying for a big cleaning service afterwards. There was no dramatic accidents. There could have been with the water, but we were good.
Now, how do you pull off the stunt scene in your film?
Yeah, that was challenging. That, when you have a scene like that, there are a number of ways you can do it. There's like the Marvel way, and then there's what you do if you're an indie film. And maybe sometimes they collide. For this, we had a stunt double. I say double loosely because she was a young gymnast, I think, but we put her in a wig and, we filmed her jumping. We filmed with two cameras, the Phantom, which is, the slowest motion camera we have available, and a normal camera just in slow motion. And then there was no moment where Jane was actually falling, spoiler alert. And we put her face on the stunt woman's face for a hot minute in post. It's like it's kind of funny, but it kind of works. I think it works. And then we had Jane sitting on a stool with a blue screen. And because the Phantom camera, the film moves so quickly, it's such slow motion. If you're going like this, it will just look like this. So I had to direct her to go like this. It was so weird. It was counterintuitive to how you direct. And I'd be like, "You're happy, you're sad." And it was just crazy. But slowed down. I mean, it's pretty amazing. That camera, if you can shoot with a Phantom, do it. And we had someone, there were like fishing wire on her clothes to make it look like it was in the wind that people were holding it. It was a full-on shoot day.
So you're revealing the fact that Jane didn't do her own stunts in
That's
this
right.
film.
That is correct. Yes, we did not have. She did actually, she did wrestle that huge inflatable dildo.
That
But
was
that's it.
I do have to admit that was out of nowhere and that was quite hilarious
I
for
was
me.
thinking about, I don't think I was thinking about this, literally when I wrote it, but in hindsight, I was like, okay, I was thinking about A Clockwork Orange when they come in and there's that scene where they like break into this woman's house and she has the penis sculpture and they use it to like kill her. I was thinking about that and like returning the tables. And I was thinking about Woody Allen has a film where there's a giant inflatable boob. I think those ideas were sort of in the back of my mind, like turning the tables as the female director.
Well said. Now, in this short film, it's almost a reunion of sorts, is that I want to say you got to work with Eric Roberts again.
Mhm.
And and but not let me backtrack. It's almost again because Eric Roberts makes an appearance, but not quite physically. Tell us about bringing back Eric Roberts into another film of yours, but not not exactly physically.
Right.
After all, I have to admit, he has like 400 credits or something like that to his name.
It's amazing. At first I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to ask him. Like I feel like it's almost being rude to ask an Oscar nominated actor for a cameo. And then I was like, you know what? It doesn't hurt to ask. And I love the idea of casting the ex as a knowable actor to sort of balance out Jane's weight. And when I asked his wife, who's his manager, Eliza, who's wonderful, she was totally cool with it, and she was really supportive. And he was wonderful. He came at the end of a long shoot day somewhere else in LA. I think he'd already had like a 12-hour day. He came and he was awesome. And we did a photo shoot. It was just me, and it was so much fun. And I owe a lot to Eric because he, was willing to do my short thesis film for UCLA, which was very successful. But that started my career, and I would not have been able to make this film with Jane if I wasn't able to show that in my repertoire. So I'm very grateful to Eric. Yeah.
No, Ronnie, tell us about yourself. What is your personal love doing all these short films?
What is my what?
Personal love of doing short films.
Well, I love shorts. I love features just as much, but shorts are easier to pull off. But I love the short film. I love the fact that it is less formulaic than your average Hollywood feature in terms of like a three-act structure. I think there's still ideally a beginning, middle, and end, but I feel like you can be more impressionistic. And usually you're not dealing with a lot of so many cooks in the kitchen. Usually it's a sort of a one-man band in terms of what the creative vision is. Like I'm not speaking to anybody else. I am, but no one's telling me, what to do, like a producer might on a bigger film. So that's one of the great things about making a short. I mean, if you fund it yourself, I funded this. So I just got to do what I wanted to do. Um, I don't think that happens a lot. So I think that's a great appeal of the short.
Do you ever want to line up a full length feature film
Oh yeah,
for yourself?
that's the whole. Yeah, I've been trying to do that for years now, and my next step I'm casting my first feature. So I'm really hoping that this film will help me get that done. Yeah.
Now, in the terms of this short film, because it has sort of like emotional scenes with comedy, how do you balance them
Yeah.
for something like this?
That's a really good question, and it's difficult, and it is something to navigate. I feel like sometimes in the writing of the script, my proclivity is to always be funny, and sometimes I have to sit, stop. Is this too far? I feel like navigating tone is always a thing for me, because I always write comedy, drama, dramedy, however you want to call it. So finding when you don't, making sure like the places where you don't want to be funny, or like how you can best make a point or like hit the emotional beat you want to hit, that's a thing. So I definitely had to be careful not to be funny at places that were more serious, but I also welcome comedy in a tragedy. I feel like true life often has all these colors at the same time. So, the nice thing about comedy, I feel like it makes tough subjects more palatable. So, I love using it to tackle challenging subjects.
Now, you already mentioned that you already started pre-production on your feature film, but do you have other shorts and other projects in the works too?
Yeah, I don't plan on funding another short again anytime soon. And my previous short before this one, I was like, never again am I funding my own short. But you just don't know. I never would have thought 20 years later I would have needed a new calling card, but that's how it was. Um, I have a vision in my mind of a sort of an anthology series that has a lot of my shorts in it. It's a way to sort of package it for a streaming service or something. So I have a lot of shorts that are sort of similar to this in that they have a fantastical bent and kind of magic realism or in comedy drama tone. Yes, if people want to fund them, I will make them.
Well, never say never. So, Ronnie,
Right.
thank you very much for carrying this conversation about your short film. stick around in this career. It's still going. So,
Thank you so much for the thoughtful questions. I really appreciate it.
hey, no, thank you. Hopefully we get to do this again next time.
Yes, absolutely.